Okay, so just remember that you're going to have two displays and two creations of files. Okay, it doesn't mean it's going to create the file every time, but it just means that it's going to check it. Okay. So in your assignment, you have let's see. In your assignment, you have a button that is you're going to remove an item from the missionaries available and put them into the field. Okay, so in that you're going to basically add it to the field text box, and you're going to remove it from the hold on a second, and you're going to remove it from the available. So right here, if you click the go to field, you're going to remove it from the missionaries available text file, and you're going to add it to the missionaries in field text file, and then you're going to refresh both list boxes. So in this example, I'm going to show you how to add to a file, and I'm going to show you how to delete from a file. All right? No, you don't have to do this, Chris. The only reason I did this is because if you do this, it'll make it simpler, because your name of your text files are kind of long, and you have two of them. And the biggest issue with students, Chris asked, well, we need to have a dim name command outside like I did. In your assignment, you're going to be updating text files like crazy, okay? So every time that you click a button, you're going to update two text files, all right? The names will drive you nuts. And if you miss one little key, one letter, it's going to throw it off, and it's going to create a new file. It's going to give you errors. So if you get a variable name up here, and you do a variable name for both of those, so like if you did dim name file 2, which don't do that, do it like in field and not in available, and you just use the variable, that will help you clearly understand what you're doing. It will tremendously help you. I promise, if you do it that way. Okay? When you're creating a file, that's not creating an array. This is when you're reading these into a query and then you're loading them in, that's kind of how you're doing it. You're using linq to do it though. It's a different process than just a basic array. It's loading it in through an array kind of in the back with the query. So in your assignment, you're doing it this way. You're using linq to do it. You're creating a text file in your application, because the first time it runs, your text file is not going to exist. You're creating it, and then you're displaying it, and then you're going to manipulate using the buttons. Okay? Okay, so John said, so when you create the query, then it'll create a text file. No, what created the text file was this right here. The query is just reading it. The query is loading this text file. This is the text file, names.txt, into this query. It's selecting the name out of the text file, each row. It's going through each row of the text file. It's storing it in that query. And then you're displaying it right here. All right. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to add. When you're adding to a text file, the only thing that you're really doing is you just want to append it. Okay, so that means you're just going to pop that name right at the bottom. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and do that one pretty simple. Okay, so in this case, I am just going to, when I click this button, I'm going to take this item and I'm going to add it. Okay, out of the text box. Okay, so whatever the user adds, you're going to do it from a selected item in the list box, and I'll show you how to do that. Okay. So I'm just going to say That's where you get the TXT and the TEXT confused. I just did it. So I'm using the stream writer. Now watch what I do. I'm using the append text right here. So what I'm doing is I'm saying, okay, append, and I'm just going to use the name file. And I'm just going to append person. Remember, don't forget to close. Okay, so all that's doing right there is it is saying take the value out of that text box and put it into and append it to the name file. So let me show you something. Okay, so if I run this, look at my names right here. John, Colby, Deanna. Okay, if I run this, if I do not enter a value in that text box, I'm going to add a blank line. If you start seeing blank lines, oh no. This is not the code, it's my computer. It's parallels disconnecting. Like, okay. All right, sorry. I am praying to Jesus as this class is going. All right, so if I'm gonna enter okay, there's already a John. I'm gonna enter Jeremy. All right. Okay, so when I add the person to file, I don't see anything. This is where students start to panic. I don't see anything in my list box. Well, guys, it's because I didn't update my list box. But if I go here and I look at my names, you should see Jeremy. You see Jeremy. All right? So this is where you need to know where your text file is so you can go and say, wait a minute. Am I having a problem with my display or am I having a problem with my writing? Guys, I'm telling you. I'm handing it to you on a silver platter here. You've got to look at this. When you're doing your debug and you're looking and you're having an issue, this is one of the first places you need to look, okay? All right. So all I want to do is I want to go and I say, okay, well, okay, I want to go and I just want to check it. All right, I want to go and refresh it. This is what I mean by refresh. I want to go grab now. I want to grab all of the lines out of that file and display them. Okay, so this does me no good if there's a null value. And in your assignment, you have to check if it's null. So you can say, well, you're gonna do a list box. And you're going to do selected index. And you're going to do index is -1. It's actually in your book, okay? And if it's -1, then you're going to produce an error message. Because remember, in a list box and an array, it always starts with 0. And it goes 0, 1, 2, 3. So a selected item, the first item in a list box is actually 0. And so the first item in ours, let's say it was John, right? Well, when I do that, okay, if it's a -1, that means nothing's selected. So I'm saying if the selected item is -1, then produce an error message and return, right? Otherwise, we're going to actually assign a value, okay? You guys have to do that, all right? I'm doing mine out of a text box. You're doing yours out of a list box. I just wanted to show you how to do that real quick. All right. So now when I run it, I'm going to see that new name in the text file, in the list box. Okay, so while it's running, in this button right here, go to field, you are going to append to the missionaries in field, and you're going to delete from the missionaries available, and then you're going to refresh both your list boxes. And you're going to do the opposite for the leaving field. So if you get the go to field working correctly, then you're just going to switch the text files and list boxes for the leaving field. Do you guys understand that? All right, that's key. Do not work on leaving field until you get go to field working correctly. All right? Otherwise, you're just going to do double work. And if you want to do double work, then feel free to do whatever you want, okay? So then I'm going to add Kyle to this and add person. And again, you see what I did wrong. What did I do wrong? I didn't clear my list box first. And I do these errors to show you because you're going to do the same thing, all right? Because it happens all the time. Here's the thing, and the reason why I point this out. Do not clear until you assign the value to your variable. Why is that? Because if you clear before this statement, there's nothing there. You've cleared the selection that the user has made. Okay? You're going to have dim person as string is equal to your listbox dot selected item. Okay? If I clear it before, there's nothing selected. All right? Also, this variable is good for your append and your delete. So now, if I was doing my assignment, I could just add the delete right here, and I could use I'm deleting the person. I don't have to figure it out again, okay? All right, so in this example, though, I'm going to do the delete in a different sub. Okay, so now I'm going to delete a person from a file. Okay, so to do that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to get, I'm going to do this again, even though you're not going to have to do it again because it's going to be in the same sub, right? All right, and then I'm going to do I'm going to read all the lines of my name file. See, this is why I like having the variable, because it writes it for me, and then I can just tab it, and I know I'm getting the right file. Okay, where name is not equal to person. Okay, and I'm going to explain it. Select name. Okay, and then this is really simple. io.file. And these are all in examples. I mean, they're all in the book. Name file. Query. All right. So, this is how you delete. What you're doing is you're saying go in and get all the names out of the file and only grab the names that are not equal to the person, and you're storing them in the query. And then all you're doing is you're overwriting that file with the new names. That doesn't include somebody, okay? And then I'm gonna, of course, refresh. Okay, I would just refresh at the end with both of them. Like I'd go ahead and add, and then I'd go ahead and delete. Now it's telling me I have an error because I have another query, so I can just go and change this to query 1. I'm going to clear my list box. Okay? My throat has got a tickle. John, I'm going to remove you, but it's not because I don't like you. It's because I'm going to remove you, but I will add you back. It's just because you're the last person to chat. So I don't want you to be offended in any way. All right, but you're not even, okay. So here's my list. And so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to remove John. So I'm going to, John, and I'm going to say delete person from file, and notice he is no longer gone. Okay, now look, if I go over here to my names, he's also gone from my file. He's wiped clean, doesn't exist anymore. All right. Okay, but because I like him, he's a great student, I'm going to add him back. Of course, I didn't have a clear there, but whatever. All right, see how that clear is annoying? You got to add the clear. All right, okay. So I have taught you how to add, which is appending, and delete. Okay, so and then in your assignment, you have one where you actually have to add from an input box. Guys, that is no different than this right here. No different, except for instead of this, you're doing equals input box, please enter a username. That's it right here. And you're assigning it to a name, a variable, and then you're doing the appending and refreshing. That's it. No different. Okay. This is so repetitive. It's mind-blowing almost. But if you're good with functions or subs, you can actually create a function, or I mean a sub, because it's a sub. You could actually create a sub where right here you could go right here. Okay, and you can actually, remember a sub doesn't return anything, so I could do refresh list box, and I could pass it the name file, that's my file name, and I could pass it my list box, list name. So when I do that, it goes to my sub and it says I passed my name. Well, actually I passed it in the wrong order. I'll fix that. And then it's going to populate it and say, okay, I'm going to update the file name and I'm going to update the appropriate list box. And so all you would do is you would call it twice. I don't know. Okay, I did it in the right order. All right, and so then the next one, if I had two files that I had to update, I would just call refresh list box, and I would do list name 2, which is gonna error out because I don't have two names, right? But I have two file names, right? And then it would update the appropriate. If you wanted to do something like that, you don't have to. All right. Okay, so let me see. Let me go back here. So I taught you the count in the last sample. The add missionary is just appending. The sort is just the same query, except for you're sorting it by ascending order, which most of them will be in ascending order anyways. Deleting is just removing it. And you are going to, you got to make sure you're checking to make sure it's selected. Each of them has to do the error checking. And then this one, remember, you're just updating both text files and both list boxes. And then your quit is just your me.close. All right. Does anybody have any questions from that before I stop this video? And Colby, does that answer some of the questions that, I mean, I know you were asking about creating a file and stuff. All right, well, let me